Usually when we talk about relationship problems, there is this expectation of a clear villain and a clear victim.
Right.
It's almost like a courtroom. Someone crosses a line, they do something hurtful, and you can just, point at them and say, there it is. You are the problem. I am the injured party.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it makes us feel safe. We like things to be binary, like someone is right and someone is wrong. But when you step into the actual emotional landscape of our deepest psychological triggers, that courtroom completely falls apart.
Yeah.
Because when you really look at it, when you slow down and look at it, the conflict is entirely an inside job.
Which is, that is a terrifying thought, honestly.
It really is.
But what if the person making you miserable isn't your enemy at all? What if they are just a mirror reflecting the parts of yourself that you have abandoned? Today, we are exploring a radical framework for understanding our relationships. We're going to discover why the people who upset you the most, the ones who really get under your skin, are actually offering you an invitation. So, okay, let's unpack this, because to really get it, we need to ground ourselves in the perspective we're using today. We are looking at this deep dive through the lens of Gestalt therapy. And for those who might not be familiar with that term, can we just start by defining what it actually means in practice?
Yeah, of course. So Gestalt is a psychological approach that looks at the human mind and experience as a whole. Unlike some approaches that focus on this endless archaeology into your childhood past.
Right, like digging up everything your parents did.
Exactly. Trying to figure out exactly why you are the way you are. Gestalt is radically focused on the present moment. It's about awareness. Like, what are you feeling right now?
Just right in the second.
Yes. How is your body reacting in this very second? It operates on the principle that true contact with another person, and honestly with yourself, is only possible when you are fully present, standing firmly in your own ground rather than acting out some unconscious role.
Okay, that brings us to the exact moment a relationship trigger occurs. And I want to make this incredibly specific for you listening. Think about a completely mundane situation. You're sitting on the couch, you're trying to tell your partner about something stressful that happened at work, and they are just... they're staring at their phone, they're scrolling, they aren't making eye contact.
In that moment, a massive emotional shift happens, and it's usually on autopilot. They withdraw emotionally, and your immediate instinct is to collapse into panic.
Yes, or maybe you spike into anger. You feel that heat in your chest, like sudden tightness in your throat.
Exactly, and your mind starts spinning a story like, they don't care about me, I'm not important, I'm entirely alone.
And the immediate reaction is to fight. You argue, you defend, you demand that they put the phone down to prove that you matter. You scramble to fix the external situation so that the internal panic goes away.
Right, you're trying to control the environment.
But there is a quiet alternative to that autopilot reaction. And it's not some dramatic, cinematic revelation with swelling music. It is almost imperceptible, like a soft exhale, a loosening in the chest. It's the moment you finally stop fighting the reflection.
You see them scrolling, you feel the panic rise, and you just pause.
Yeah.
You don't try to control them. Because, and this raises an important question, why do we fight these reflections? In that pause, you realize something profound. The other person was never the problem. They were just an invitation.
An invitation.
Yes. The panic you are feeling isn't actually about the phone. It's about a much older, deeper fear. Perhaps the fear that you are inherently unlovable or unworthy of attention. Your partner's distraction just happened to poke that existing wound. You cannot truly meet another person if you are still lost in your own inner exile.
It's like standing in front of a mirror and yelling at the glass because your shirt is wrinkled. You were standing there screaming, "Why are you doing this to me? Fix my shirt!"
That is a perfect analogy.
It's absurd when you picture it that way. You wouldn't yell at the reflection. You would take the shirt off and iron it yourself.
That is a brilliant way to visualize projection. You are yelling at the glass. You are interacting with your own shadow, using the other person as a prop in your internal drama, rather than seeing them as a separate, flawed human being who might just be, tired and looking at a screen.
But wait, I have to push back here.
Okay, sure.
Because I can hear you, the listener, thinking exactly what I was thinking when I first started exploring this. If someone is actively criticizing you or treating you poorly, doesn't telling yourself they aren't the problem risk turning you into a doormat?
Ah, right.
Like, how do we differentiate between accepting an invitation for self-reflection and just accepting bad behavior? Let's say my partner isn't just scrolling, but is actively belittling me.
That is the most important distinction we can make. Recognizing someone as a mirror is not about absorbing abuse. Not at all. It's about self-possession.
Self-possession?
Yes. Standing in your own ground means you are deeply connected to your own worth. If someone is toxic or abusive, self-possession might mean you set a hard boundary, or you walk away entirely.
Right.
But you do it because you are whole, and you recognize that their behavior is unacceptable to you. You do not do it from a place of panic scrambling, trying to force them to change so that you can feel worthy.
So you refuse to let their bad behavior dictate your internal reality.
Exactly. You stop needing them to be different so that you can feel okay. You can look at them and think, your cruelty says everything about your wounds and nothing about my worth. You see the trigger, you feel the sting, but you don't make them responsible for your psychological survival.
Wow. Okay, so if the world and the people around us don't fundamentally change, because, we simply cannot control them, the only thing that changes is our inner posture. Inner posture, I love that phrase. It implies something you hold, a way you carry yourself through the world. Because so much of our lives are spent in this illusion of seeking external fulfillment. We think, if I just find the perfect, attentive partner, I will never feel abandoned again. If I just get enough praise from my boss, I will finally feel competent.
What's fascinating here is how common that Hume setup is. But let's look at how this shift in inner posture completely dismantles that illusion. Think about a critical friend.
Oh, we all have one.
Right, someone who is always picking at your choices, judging your career or your parenting. Usually, your inner posture is defensive. You resent them, you try to argue with them to prove your choices are valid.
Yeah, you get totally hooked in.
But when your inner posture shifts, you suddenly realize that their critical voice is just the external echo of your own harsh inner judge. They've just given it a physical form, out loud, so you can finally hear it.
So the anger you feel toward them is actually the anger you feel toward that relentless, judgmental part of yourself.
Yes. You stop chasing validation from people who simply cannot give it to you. You realize that for years, you've been knocking on other people's doors asking them to fill your hollow spaces. But that door was never theirs to open.
That is deeply painful to realize.
It is. It's a very raw truth.
It's exhausting, honestly. We spend years trying to extract a sense of wholeness from other people. It's like taking a power strip and plugging it into itself.
Oh, like that.
You know? You keep checking the little red light, wondering why the toaster won't turn on. It feels like you're doing something, you're making a connection, but there is no actual current being generated. You are demanding power from a closed loop.
That metaphor captures the futility perfectly. You are waiting for the other person to supply the electricity, but the source was never theirs to provide.
Yeah.
When you realize that, the revolution happens. And it looks like stillness. It sounds like genuine curiosity. Instead of defensiveness, it sounds like saying to yourself, oh, so this is where I left myself.
This is where I left myself. It's such a quiet realization. Healing doesn't happen because the wound magically disappears. The sting of being ignored or criticized is still there.
Always.
But healing happens because you are finally willing to hold it yourself, rather than handing it to someone else and demanding they nurse it.
Which brings us to the actual mechanics of how we do this.
Yes, the how. Because theoretically, this makes total sense. I am projecting my unmet needs. I need to plug the power strip into the actual wall. But practically speaking, how do I do that? Because I've tried the willpower route.
We all have.
Right. I've sat on the couch while my partner ignored me, and I've white-knuckled the armrest, telling myself, don't be needy, don't be anxious, be self-possessed. And it is agonizing. It just doesn't work.
It fails every time.
Yeah.
Because willpower is the exact opposite of the tool you need. Willpower is just another form of fighting. You are just internalizing the courtroom. Now, instead of the other person being the villain, your own anxiety is the villain. You are trying to crush your feelings with force. In Gestalt, the actual mechanism for change is far quieter. It requires abandoning force altogether in favor of tenderness.
Tenderness, it feels completely counterintuitive. We are taught to bring armor to a threat, not tenderness.
I know, but when that panic spikes, when your partner is scrolling on their phone, the absolute worst thing you can do is tell yourself you shouldn't be feeling it. Tenderness means you finally sit down with a part of you that is terrified.
Yeah.
The part of you that believes love has to be earned by being perfectly quiet and undemanding. The part of you that was taught your needs were burdens.
So what does that actually look like in the moment? Let's say I'm on the couch, I'm feeling the panic. What is step one?
Step one is dropping the storyline about the phone.
Oh.
Move your attention entirely into your physical body. Notice the heat in your chest. Notice the shallow breathing.
Just feel it physically.
Just feel it. That physical sensation is an exiled part of yourself, trying to get your attention. Is the voice whispering, if they knew the real you, they'd leave.
Which is terrifying to actually face.
It is terrifying. That's why we usually pick a fight about the phone.
Right.
It's much easier to be angry at your partner than to sit in a room with your deepest fear of abandonment.
Right.
But tenderness means instead of arguing with that fear, instead of using positive affirmations to drown it out, you bring your full awareness to it. You internally say to that physical sensation, I'm here, I see you, you don't have to hide anymore.
You just keep it company.
You keep it company. This is how you complete what we call unfinished business. You don't complete it by going back in time and confronting the people who originally hurt you. You complete it by bringing your full, unadulterated, compassionate presence to the parts of yourself that were left behind in those moments.
So what does this all mean for our relationships? There's this incredible paradox here. The more you integrate your own fragments, the more you sit on that couch and keep your own fear company, the less power other people have to trigger you.
Exactly. And why do they have less power? Not because they have suddenly become enlightened, perfectly attentive partners.
Right. They're probably still doing the exact same annoying things. They are still looking at their phone.
But they have less power because you are no longer projecting your desperate unmet needs onto them. You aren't asking them to be your psychological oxygen anymore.
It's like you've been forcing your partner or your friend or your boss to read from this incredibly heavy, high-stakes script, a script where they have to say the exact right lines at the exact right time with the exact right tone of voice, or else it means you are unlovable. And integrating your fragments, plugging yourself back into your own source, means you finally just drop the script. You let them off the hook.
You stop needing them to be your savior. And equally important, you stop needing them to be your enemy. You just allow them to be human.
Flawed.
Flawed, limited, distracted, struggling human beings, present in whatever capacity they are currently capable of.
That sounds incredibly liberating. Just letting people be flawed without it meaning anything about your own fundamental worth.
Yeah.
When you clear away the projections, the demands, and the fantasies of perfect understanding, what's left is real contact.
Yes.
It's the raw, imperfect truth of two people meeting exactly as they are.
Because liberation doesn't live in escaping relationships. It doesn't mean moving to a cabin in the woods so nobody can ever annoy you again. It lives in relating to others from a deep, grounded place of self-possession.
But, and this is the thing, just as you start thinking, wow, I've got it. I found the ultimate cure to relationship anxiety. I know how to sit with my feelings. I'm going to be perfectly self-possessed forever. There's a crucial reality check here. This is not an ending.
It never is. The moment you think you have finally figured it out, the mirror is going to shift.
A completely new person will walk into your life and trigger a wound you didn't even know you had, or an old pattern will surface in a totally new disguise.
Integration is a lifelong practice, not a destination.
Yeah.
You don't cross a finish line and receive a certificate in wholeness.
We wish.
We all do. But every relationship you have, every interaction, becomes sacred ground for seeing yourself more deeply. Every single trigger is just another doorway. When you repeat a painful pattern, it's not a failure. It's just a gentle, or sometimes not so gentle, reminder that there is still more of yourself to come home to.
There's more to come home to. That completely changes how we view our own discomfort. But it also means we have to make peace with the fact that the unease is going to remain. We have to view that unease not as a malfunction, but as a pulse of aliveness.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, letting go of the goal of being perfectly calm and tidy all the time is perhaps the ultimate psychological relief. So much of our suffering comes from the belief that if we were truly doing the work, if we were truly healed, we would never feel anxious or jealous or triggered ever again.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because that expectation is completely counterintuitive to what true transformation actually is. We think of healing as reaching this flatline state of perpetual zen, but someone who never feels anything isn't healed. They're usually just heavily dissociated.
Right.
True transformation doesn't leave you calm and tidy. It leaves you tender, open, awake, and yes, sometimes deeply unsettled.
You are unsettled because you are no longer asleep in your patterns. You are awake. You are walking through the world with your eyes wide open, feeling the friction of human connection, owning your reactions, and choosing again and again to stay present with yourself. Being awake means feeling it all.
So how can we practically reframe our daily unease? Because it's hard.
It is hard.
When a new trigger pops up, say a friend leaves your text on read for 2 days, the immediate reaction is, ugh, the anxiety is back, I'm back at square one, I failed at my own growth.
Yeah.
How do we stop that narrative?
By remembering who the dialogue is actually with. When that unease hits, when the text is left on read and your stomach drops, you have to remind yourself that the silent dialogue happening in that moment is not actually between you and your friend.
It's between you and the truth you've spent a lifetime avoiding.
Exactly. The unease is just the friction of you finally being ready to listen to that truth. It's the friction of growth.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's trace the core journey we've been on. We started in that courtroom, looking for an enemy, looking for someone to blame for the jagged edges of our emotional pain. But we've learned that the true dialogue isn't about fixing your partner or changing your friend. It's about radically transforming your relationship with yourself.
We've learned that the next time someone reflects back your shadow, the parts of you that feel inadequate or fearful or entirely unlovable, the goal is not to look away. The goal is not to fight the mirror or yell at the glass.
The goal is to lean in, to notice the tightness in your chest and whisper softly, "Thank you for showing me what I couldn't see," and then to turn inward with fierce tenderness. Because the most important conversation you will ever have is waiting for you right now, listener. It's not in the text you're desperately waiting for or the arguments you're rehearsing in the shower. It is waiting in the silence, in the breath, in the space between who you were and who you are becoming.
The profound question that sits right at the heart of this entire Gestalt journey is simply this. When that exiled part of yourself finally speaks up, will you answer?
To help you explore what answering might look like for you, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment to carry with you today. Think about the person who triggered you the most this past week. Picture the exact moment you felt your chest tighten, the moment your defenses went up and you wanted to fight. Now imagine you could magically remove them from the universe right now. If you took away the mirror completely, what specific, unmet need of your own is left sitting alone in the room with you?